Should the Sixers hire Kenny Atkinson? Let's break it down and come to a conclusion right now. What is up, guys? DJ Eastwood here, run it back, home of the most brutally honest Philly sports takes on YouTube. Some people don't like it, but it's because some people don't like the truth. Hit the subscribe button if you're new. Hit the like button, help me rank up on YouTube. Hit the notification bell so you never miss another one of these videos. It dings your phone like an annoying girlfriend, but it's not your girlfriend asking why that other girl's texting you late at night. It's me talking about the Sixers coaching Kenny Atkinson. Today I saw on BleacherReport.com and a couple other sites why the Sixers should hire Kenny Atkinson, so I decided to dig a little bit on Kenny Atkinson, come up with some of his team ratings, some of his defensive ratings, some of his statistics, some of his team rosters that he dealt with in the past, some of the reasons that he may or may not have been fired. I mean, may not have. Well, he was fired. Some of the reasons he may have been fired. I don't know if I'm saying it right. It's early in the morning. And I'll give you my honest opinion on whether or not the Philadelphia 76ers should hire Kenny Atkinson. First of all, let's start with his coaching history, his NBA coaching history. Here we go. So 2008 to 2011, he was an assistant for the New York Knicks. You know, they've been terrible for 1,000 years. That has nothing to really do with anything. 2013 to 16, he was an assistant for the Atlanta Hawks. They've been terrible forever. That really also has nothing to do with anything. We need to look at his head coaching record and history and talk about it. So, hired in 2016 after the Brooklyn Nets absolutely atrocious debacle. They traded every single first-round pick they've ever had to the Boston Celtics for Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and those guys. Made a little bit of a playoff run. Darren Williams, Joe Johnson had a decent playoff run, but basically dumped all their eggs into one basket, traded every first-round pick they could come up with for the next 6 years, and failed miserably. And then the Boston Celtics went to the playoffs, had superstar in Isaiah Thomas, and still had the number one pick in the draft, which they traded to the Sixers, and we don't want to talk about the Markelle Fultz thing. But anyway, after setting up the Boston Celtics for success for lots of years to come, the Brooklyn Nets hired Kenny Atkinson as the head coach with a depleted roster, not very many draft picks to get any trades done or anything, so he didn't have a lot to work with. It's actually very similar to Brett Brown's situation when he came to Philadelphia, depleted roster, no stars on the team, nothing to really work with. They knew they were going to be bad. So do we take his first 2 years into consideration as far as record? No. You have to look at what the guy did when he actually had talent on the roster. He didn't have any talent on the roster the first 2 seasons. 2016 team roster, you look at it, try not to throw up reading these names. Andre Bargnani, Markelle Brown, Wayne Ellington, Jarrett Jack. You know what I'm saying? I mean, aside from Joe Johnson, who was towards the end of his career, didn't really offer much. Rondae Hollis-Jefferson was still very young. Thaddeus Young was getting towards the end of his career. Brook Lopez is really the only name on there that is significant at all, and we all know what they used him for. So 20-62 in 2016. 2017 roster, not a whole lot better, but you get young guys in there like Joe Harris, Karis LeVert. Rondae Hollis-Jefferson gets another year under his belt. I have no idea why they have Anthony Bennett. I don't really remember. He was probably the biggest bust in NBA draft history. Yeah, still not. Oh, my God. KJ McDaniels. Real Sixers fans remember him. Yeah, he was trash. We overhyped the hell out of him because he caught one alley-oop from Tony Rote. But, yeah, that roster not much better. Finished the season 28-54 in 2017. 2018 comes around, and the Brooklyn Nets decide to trade Brook Lopez for D'Angelo Russell and Timofey Mozgov. But anyway, they traded Lopez for D'Angelo Russell. Now, this is just a clear example of how one star-level player can change your team. Now, it's still not a championship type of roster, obviously, but it's way better than 20-62. I'll tell you that much. D'Angelo Russell changes that with his scoring ability, his ball handling ability, how he gets up and down the floor, his three-point shooting ability, all that stuff. Clearly, D'Angelo Russell had a big impact. And the addition of Jarrett Allen helps you defensively. So they add a guy like D'Angelo Russell. They're grooming these young players that they drafted, the Joe Harris, the Jarrett Allen, the Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, the Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie's in there. You know what I'm saying? Now you just got a whole bunch of ball-handling guards flying up and down the floor, and we're going to talk about space and pace and his defensive ratings because there's something I really, really like about Kenny Atkinson. In 2016, with that horrible roster, of course, their defensive rating wasn't that great at 23rd overall in the league, but their pace was number 1 in the NBA, and I love that. After watching what feels like 100 years of the Sixers lugging a bunch of 7-footers up and down the floor, aside from Ben Simmons' fast breaks, I don't feel like the Sixers have a very good pace. For Kenny Atkinson to have that team, number 1 pace in the NBA, is saying something. Now, it has a lot to do with the roster construction, obviously. It was just a bunch of guards running up and down the court shooting the ball. They weren't playing any defense, as you can see, and they finished the season 20-62. The Sixers have a bunch of centers and forwards. Obviously, your pace is not going to be number 1 in the NBA, but the fact that Kenny Atkinson coached and taught pace this way gives me a good feeling because I'm tired of watching this. I'm tired of watching this slow basketball, 2 centers in the middle, leading the league in post-ups. I'm tired of watching it. I want to see the Sixers score. I want to see guards get up and down the floor and make plays. I'm tired of watching it. Kenny Atkinson and the way that he coaches pace makes me feel good. Now you can see when he actually had decent players on the floor, Jarrett Allen, D'Angelo Russell, Joe Harris, Spencer Dinwiddie, all these guys, the pace is not number 1 in the NBA. It's 11th, so you're still almost top 10. So I still like the pace. Even with a big guy like Jarrett Allen in the middle, they're still running up and down the floor, 11th in the NBA in pace. The defensive rating goes from 20-something up to 14. I like that. If you can get a team, to me, that's top 10 in pace and top 10 in defensive rating, now you're on the right track, especially when you're talking about Ben Simmons, because Ben Simmons is pace and defense. That's what he is. He flies up and down the floor, and he plays incredible perimeter defense. So space and pace and defense should be what we're looking for. If we're trying to change this thing around, if we're trying to get away from what happened this past season, space and pace and defense should be what we're looking for. And Kenny Atkinson seems like he checks both of those boxes. Obviously, this roster still needs a major overhaul. I don't think Kenny Atkinson would have any interest in coaching 4 forwards on the floor. I don't think Kenny Atkinson would ever even consider starting Joel Embiid and Al Horford next to each other in the middle. I don't think Kenny Atkinson would do any of that, any of those things that Brett Brown seemed to love to do. Judging by his pace and the way that he loves ball-handling scorers, I also think Kenny Atkinson would have held on to Trey Burke and would not have chosen to play Raul Neto over him. And I said the same thing about Tyronn Lue, the fact that he played guard in the league and then he coached the Cleveland Cavaliers running up and down the floor with LeBron James and Kyrie Irving. Guard play. All I've seen from these Kenny Atkinson teams is guard play. And I've been so jealous of it for so many years. Every single time the Brooklyn Nets play the Sixers, Spencer Dinwiddie scores 90 points. Joe Harris hits 17 threes. Karis LeVert goes ham. Everybody goes off because they just run up and down the floor, and the Sixers could never defend it because we played bully ball. We forgot all about guard play. We played bully ball. We can't defend these guys. The coach that was behind all of that, the coach that was behind the Spencer Dinwiddie coming off the bench and getting buckets the way that he did, the coach that was behind number 1 pace in the NBA and then number 11 pace in the NBA, I got a good feeling about it. It almost seems like Kenny Atkinson is the exact opposite of Brett Brown. And if you told me, hey, we're going to fire Brett Brown, what should we do to replace him? I might have said, you should get whoever is the exact opposite of Brett Brown. Because Brett Brown does things, in my opinion, 100% wrong. He does the opposite of what you should do in every situation. So get a guy that does the right thing. A big question is, because he's still an inexperienced head coach. You know, he coached a couple bad teams with the Nets, and then he coached D'Angelo Russell, had a decent record, still didn't have a great roster, and then he got Kyrie Irving, and things went completely downhill because things always go downhill when you get Kyrie Irving. But the question is, does he hold players accountable? Because we all know that's a big issue with Brett Brown. Not holding players accountable, not getting players to listen to him. Can't get pampered superstar Ben Simmons to shoot the ball. Can't get pampered superstar Joel Embiid to get in shape, to lose 10 pounds, to look better condition-wise. Brett Brown can't hold anybody accountable. Brett Brown's kids, when they were growing up, probably ran all over the house, had spaghetti all over the walls. The furniture was probably upside down. How do you make a comment about Brett Brown as a father? That's just not even right. I'm terrible. Does he hold players accountable? It's hard to assess because, like, the first 2 years he was in Brooklyn, he didn't have any superstars on his team that would stand up to him and say, no, you know what, I'm not doing that. He didn't have any players like that. He had a bunch of young guys who he gathered together and had them working as a cohesive unit, flying up and down the floor shooting threes. D'Angelo Russell came along, and he was still not quite a superstar level player yet. He liked flying up and down the court shooting threes, and he likes to pass the ball. And he's not a head case. He's a little bit of a snitch, maybe, but he's not a head case. He seemed to fit what Kenny Atkinson was doing. Brooklyn makes the big signing of Kyrie Irving. They signed Kevin Durant. Sources say that Kenny Atkinson was disinterested in coaching Kyrie Irving. Sources say Kenny Atkinson wanted to get away from Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant just as much as they didn't want him to coach. From what I've seen with Kyrie Irving, I'm going to give Kenny Atkinson the benefit of the doubt here. Because Kyrie Irving has been a cancer on every single team he has been a part of. He left Cleveland because he didn't want to be in LeBron's shadow anymore. He wanted his own team. The Boston Celtics trade Isaiah Thomas for him. He comes to Boston, and it's a disaster. Because he's a head case. He can't get along with anybody. Boston lets him walk. He goes to Brooklyn. Suddenly the coach gets fired. Now they got Kyrie and Kevin Durant. They fire a good coach because Kyrie, according to sources, preferred Tyronn Lue and still prefers Tyronn Lue to coach that team, who coached him in Cleveland. I think Kyrie Irving is still forgetting that the only reason he ever went to the NBA Finals is LeBron James. Now you're going to go to Brooklyn and you want Tyronn Lue to coach you? You don't have LeBron James anymore. So they add another head case in Kevin Durant. Those two together with Tyronn Lue, bro, they are going to clash. It's going to implode. I cannot wait. I can't wait for the first on-court argument between Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Kevin Durant couldn't get along with Draymond Green, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson. These guys get such big egos. They can't get along with anybody. They can't take a step back and be a team player. They just can't do it. If I was Kenny Atkinson, I would have resigned the second you signed Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving is an absolute cancer. It just is what it is. The guy's a fucking nut job. Flat earther, always saying some weird shit. One time said something, compared himself to Harriet Tubman. He was walking into an NBA game once and the cameras were on him like pregame, and he looked at the camera and he said, I can't wait till I don't have to deal with this shit anymore. He's like the most depressed millionaire I've ever seen. It's not going to be good in Brooklyn. Kenny Atkinson should have got the hell out of there, and he did. Can Kenny Atkinson get Ben Simmons to shoot the ball? That's the real question. Brett Brown couldn't get him to do it, but I don't think Brett Brown ever even told him to do it. Brett Brown said it passively in a press conference, you know? I'm challenging Ben Simmons to shoot 1 3 per game. You said it in a press conference, bro. Say it to his face, you little bitch. But that's why Brett got fired, because he's soft. Kenny Atkinson might be able to get Ben Simmons to shoot the ball. I don't know. But I do know that Ben Simmons, the way that he plays as far as pace and defense, Kenny Atkinson's a good fit. Is Kenny Atkinson a good fit for Embiid? I don't know. But Embiid's not exactly an immobile center. He can get up and down the floor. It's the players around them that have changed so drastically from the 2017 season. If the Sixers can get rid of Al Horford and Tobias Harris, and give Kenny Atkinson somebody like Joe Harris, somebody like Karis LeVert, somebody like Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, then yeah, Kenny Atkinson's a perfect fit. But if you're going to hire the guy because of what he did with the Nets and you're going to hand him this roster with 4 forwards on it, no, it ain't going to work. And he's not going to take the job with that roster. I really don't think he would be interested in it. My final verdict on Kenny Atkinson is that I will be fine with them hiring Kenny Atkinson. I think he had some very nice moments in Brooklyn with a rebuilding team, and then when they got D'Angelo Russell, that team was above 500, made the playoffs, got beat by the Sixers, of course. And then cancer Kyrie Irving comes along, cancer Kevin Durant comes along, and Kenny Atkinson gets fired. So it's not like he got fired for underperforming. He got fired because some big-headed superstar assholes didn't want him to coach the team, and the ownership group said, okay, you're fired because Kyrie Irving said so. We don't know, man. We're just blinded by big names. My final answer on Kenny Atkinson is yes, but not with this current roster construction. You're going to have to give the guy some guards. Some guards. Maybe you can call up the Dallas Mavs and get Trey Burke back. You're going to have to give the guy some guards. And we all know, well, some people don't know, but people who really know, Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid can work together with the right players around them. And I think if they have the right players around them and Kenny Atkinson is a head coach, good things could happen. You guys let me know what you think in the comments, man. Give me all your thoughts and opinions. My name is DJ Eastwood. This is Run It Back, home of the most brutally honest Philly sports takes on YouTube. Some people don't like it, but it's because some people don't like the truth. Hit the subscribe button if you're new. Please hit the like button to help me rank up on YouTube. Hit the notification bell. Dings your phone like an annoying girlfriend, but it's not your girlfriend asking you who you were with last night. It's me talking about the Sixers' coaching decisions. Peace.